This week on the Pete the Planner Show, we're answering your money questions. That's what we do. I'm your host, Steve Ferguson. No, it's not. It's Peter Dunn. Pete the Planner, it's my show. Welcome to the show. 3 questions we're answering today on today's show. First one is an interesting one. This is a classic. This is where someone has a good idea, and then a friend says, no, this is a better idea. And then the person emails me and says, what's the real deal? And it involves college funding and 529 plans and student loans. We'll hit that here in just a second. Then, in the next segment, we're going to deal with one of my favorite types of questions. Should we sell our house or not? I like those. Then finally, we're going to deal with another student loan question, another college question, but this time it's adult parents maybe stepping back in to help a 30-year-old who is already in the workforce. Nicole, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you. Hi.
It's Aaliyah's last week, our intern.
It is. I'm sad.
Very
I can't believe
sad.
it's over.
Maybe if we got the rights to Boyz II Men, End of the Road, we'd play it right now.
But
We don't have that. So, Aaliyah, we will miss you. We like you. Excellent. Good comment. All right, so let's get to the go to this camera here. Let's get started with the show. If you want to email us, please email us ask Pete at PeteThePlanner.com. That's ask Pete at PeteThePlanner.com. We answer financial questions. We don't try to sell you stuff. It's a pretty good deal. Dear Pete, my daughter, only child, just started her senior year of high school. When she was born, I opened a 529 plan for her. Nicole, as you know, a 529 plan is a college savings plan.
Yeah, it's great.
I now have about $60,000 in the account. I mentioned to a friend that after all of these years of saving, I would have to crack open the 529 plan next year. The friend suggested that I have my daughter take out student loans in her name to cover her college expenses and allow the 529 plan to continue to grow while she is in college. The friend said the student loans, if in my daughter's name, would have the interest deferred until she is out of college, at which point we could then use the 529 plan to pay off or pay down the student loans. As with any decisions, there are always positives and negatives, so I was wondering what's the potential pitfalls of doing that? And that is from Steve. And Steve, you should also know, of course, I already emailed you back, but Steve should also know I'm writing about this in USA Today this week. It is my special question selection of the week. Nicole, what do we send people when we choose them for the USA Today column?
They get an MP3 file from yours truly with the answer to their question.
And enlightenment.
And enlightenment, because that's what we're about.
Okay, so, dude, this is classic, right?
Right.
Nicole, you and I were talking about this yesterday. Like, we love our friends.
Right. They give us advice on what they would do if they were in that situation, or what they think we should do that would be the best for us. And they come from a good place.
But sometimes they have no idea what in the heck they're talking about.
Right, and we love them for it, but
I had a good friend who taught me his foolproof strategy for winning at roulette once.
let me guess.
It wasn't foolproof.
Wow.
Lost money. Here's the thing. The Steve's friend, let's call Steve, let's give him a name. What do you want to call him?
Bob.
Bob. Steve's friend Bob is wrong.
I know.
Very wrong
He is.
on 2 accounts. There is a sort of a philosophical reason, and then there's just the hard regulatory reason he's wrong. Where shall we start, Nicole?
Let's just start from the beginning.
Here's the thing. Anytime you're going to make a decision like this, in which you are considering borrowing money that you don't need to necessarily borrow in order to grow an asset you already have, which you're refusing to use for the purchase, in order to grow the asset bigger, some certain things have to be true in order for that to make any sense at all. So far, are we clear, Nicole, what I just said? Because that sounded
Yes.
confusing, and I said it.
And yes, I'm with you.
Right? It's like one of those things. It's like, okay, he's got the money for the first year of college. He does.
Right, yeah.
He can either pay for it, but he's saying, no, I'm not going to pay for it. I'm going to borrow. And in that, I'm going to try to grow the $60,000 I have so that can be worth more. So if you ever make that decision, people do that stuff all the time with houses and cars and all sorts of decisions. Certain things have to be true. Number one, the amount of interest that you are being charged on the money you're borrowing has to be relatively low to what you could earn on the money that you're continuing to invest. Are we good?
Yes.
Good news for Steve and Bob's own psyche, they're right. In most cases, the student's going to have their student loan interest deferred. So in that sense, the student loan interest would be zero, and whatever they could earn would be more than zero. So that sort of hedging, that arbitrage, actually works.
Right.
But there's a lot of big problems here.
They got that right?
So
that is
that
right.
first part is right, but it's one of at least 10 things and 3 important things that need to be satisfied. Number 2 thing, you have to have a long enough time horizon for this to make sense from a risk-reward perspective. 4 years is not long enough of a time horizon to have your money invested in equities and expect to have more or even the same amount, especially in the midst of one of the longest bull markets in history. This is one of the longest periods of time ever in the stock market of consistently up years. And you may say, well, there'll be more. Well, I would say that's not how I look at it. I would say what is due to rise is due to fall. And that is a huge issue. 4-year time horizon is nothing. Nothing. So on those grounds, this falls apart. And then we look at it beyond that and we say, forget time horizon. At what point in time is this also about just understanding the market's ups and downs anyways? Forget time horizon. Let's say it's a 20-year time frame. You still would have to have some degree of certainty that you could have positive gains over that period of time. And that seems like a complete afterthought with Bob's ideas, okay? So those 2 of the 3 reasons blow it up. But Nicole, there is a bigger issue at hand.
Right.
You're not allowed to do
No.
what Bob is suggesting. You can't do it.
You can't do it.
You can't do it. You cannot take a 529 plan and pay off student loans. You can only use a 529 plan for what are called qualified educational expenses. And believe it or not, student loans are not one of those. This is what's silly, right? So tuition and fees, you can use a 529 for.
Go for it.
You can borrow money to pay for tuition and fees.
Sure can.
But you cannot use a 529 to pay off the loan that you used to pay for tuition and fees.
Because that would be way too easy.
It would. And people would try to do exactly what Bob is suggesting.
Right. Which
now,
isn't that why they've made it that you can't do so?
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot this week. And by a lot, I mean for like
5 seconds right now.
Maybe probably 13. I mean, all told from earlier than today. I invested in this.
You did. Wow.
But yes, I think that's possibly one of the reasons. Now, I should say, because someone's going to email me,
Yep.
he actually can do that. I mean, Bob is right to a degree. Steve can actually use the 529s to pay off the student loans. However, we got 2 big problems. Number 1, he will have to pay taxes because it is a non-qualified distribution. Number 2, he will have to pay a 10% penalty because it is a non-qualified distribution. So it makes absolutely no sense at ever. This is, Nicole, the classic example of people trying too hard to get cute.
Yes, I was just thinking that. I was like, by now the student taking out student loans and then using the 529 to pay off her student loans before she starts accruing interest just sounds like a huge process, and they're complicating it way too much.
Way overcomplicated for absolutely
They got the cash.
no reason.
They got the cash right now. Just use it.
So I emailed back Steve, and we'll send him we already emailed him back. I'm not sending him this audio, but you, my dear listener, you get the audio, and you get the video at PeteThePlanner.tv. You can see that I tried to get too cute with my shirt today by rolling up the sleeves so you can see my farmer's tan and the hard work I do every morning with my fitness. All right, coming up after the break, it's one of my favorite types of questions. It really is. Should we stay in our house or should we sell it and do something different? As you know, your home is most likely your biggest asset. It's also your biggest debt burden, and it can be the biggest key to changing your financial life when you make a smart decision when you're in a bad situation. We will explore that entire possibility next, right here on the Pete the Planner Show. I am Pete the Planner.